great to catch up. It's great to see you. I'm looking forward to getting into the new album. And, of course, we've survived a pandemic since 2013. America's a very strange place to live in right now in
Yeah.
2026. So there's a lot that goes into our modern lives. So thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
So let's begin with the new album. Talk to me. I guess before we get into the new album, I want to know this. When I look at the calendar now in March, it's like, uh-oh, it's that whole pandemic, like, pang comes back. 6 years ago, this thing changed our lives, especially for musicians. How did you get through that era, and how has it changed the way that you create and do things today?
Interesting. I just was at a party the other night with a bunch of musicians, and they were all talking about how good the pandemic was for them.
I hear that all the time.
Yeah, and I have to disagree with that, mostly because I feel that I'm a social person, and so I like to play for people and in a room or in like a hall or somewhere where there are many people or outside, which was actually kind of a cool experience to do more of that in the pandemic is go outside and play more.
Yeah.
But I did really miss the social component of being inside of a space with people, even though we did have this wonderful technology, Zoom,
Yeah.
and ways to connect with people that way. And there were so many people working on the technology in order to be able to musically communicate with each other via all these new devices that would allow for better timing between people, in different rooms. But I have to say that yeah, it's so funny because I don't really think about it anymore because it wasn't a great time for. I mean, it was nice to be able to practice and get into some musical things and listen more to music and all of that and read more and kind of do more personal projects. But yeah, I would say that it's much better now being that we can play music for people in rooms.
Yeah. Well, I guess another added layer to that before we get into Fallows is living in America today is there's so many things that are scary about what's going on between immigration and a war and just levels of ineptitude that are rippling through and creating stress for all of us. How much is that going into your mind when you're making music and delivering it, whether it's through a recording or you're on it on a stage and helping people kind of get to a place where they feel comfort? Is that something that's going through your mind as you create and deliver music now?
Well, it's something on my mind that when I wake up every day. So yes,
Yeah.
I definitely feel connected to all of the pain and suffering that's happening these days and now currently with this new war that we're in. Um, and it's I was just talking to, some of my students today and asking, just checking in with them and asking the question, how are you doing and how are you processing all of this? Because we just sometimes we get sidetracked by, like the content of class or the content of a gig or something, and then we forget about the fact that we're dealing with this other level of psychological dis-ease, or discomfort, and also like physical harm for certain groups of people, for and danger for people who live in Iran and like just also people who live in Gaza. It's a daily or you know people in certain places in Africa that are still struggling today. It's not just like one place. And so there's so many things to be aware of. And that can be a really overwhelming facet of our world because it's all available to us on social media. And so yeah, it's something I think about every day. And I think more what I focus on when I'm about to be on stage and perform for people is how I can take them to a place and how we can go somewhere together. And if they're with me, and if I'm with them, it can really transport everyone to another place of existence outside of the present moment. So it
Yeah.
could be more of an interstellar experience or more of a quantum experience.
And speaking of this new album, Fallows, is kind of in that same vein of being a transformative experience. There's a lot going on with this album. Was Mary Oliver, was she kind of a catalyst for the creative spark?
Well, I love Mary Oliver's poems, and because a lot of her poems are about nature, it was appropriate, material for me, and that's why I kind of named her um, in a couple different places, like in the press release and also on the back of the record. I kind of quoted one of her poems, and yeah, I mean, she's so influential to me, and because I was in this place that was remote, I was in Wyoming and around very few people and on land that not a lot of people lived on at the time that we were there, but of course, people lived on that land throughout time, and imagining what that land must have been used for in previous centuries. Um, yeah, I mean, Mary's work is always has always been a big part of my life.
So talk to me about the vision for this album, the instrumentation, the way you orchestrated everything, just the overall visceral feeling of what you were putting into this album. What was your vision?
Well, for me, this record is really a comfort. It's a comfort. So I wanted to get to all of the aspects of what makes me feel like I'm being, held or like have a pillow around me. So there's a lot of music on there that really just feels like a sort of a blanket of comfort in that sense. Like Cloudburst is an example of a song that's really like a comforting piece of music that I wanted to create for myself and other people to experience, and through the voice of Connie Carruthers, who also seemed to me to be such a comforting figure in our musical ancestry in improvised music. Um, that's why I included her there in that part of the record. And yeah, I mean, I didn't have a vision or all organized going into it, but I just came to the table with a lot of openness for improvising in that space. It took me, like 25 days to record this record over that time, very slowly. So I was really giving my space to improvise every day, which is a hard thing to do, to come to the table and kind of create from nothing, or create given something that you're seeing outside or conversation you had on the phone or something. So I was being more open about the whole process rather than being like, okay, I want to get this done, this done, this done. It was really more about all of the songs on the record came from improvisations.
So what are you ultimately hoping the listener gets from this album?
I mean, I would hope that the listener is getting a sense of the saxophone that's different than our previous notions of what the saxophone could sound like. That was sort of part of my reason to go into it. I'm not like a saxophone heavy listener and lover, even though that's the instrument I play. I would say, a lot of the music that I listen to doesn't have saxophone in it, and so I'm constantly trying to see how I can make the instrument sound like something else, or how I can make the instrument sound different. So I was looking for that. And so I would hope the listener could get a bit of that. There's a track on there called Underground where I'm preparing the saxophone with an aluminum can. So I put aluminum can that's filled with water in the bell, and I'm twisting it around, and I just turn the microphone up, you know, I don't know, 10, 12 decibels. So it's a very loud um it's a loud input. So I like got these really gentle sounds of me twisting this can inside the bell,
Yeah,
um and then sort of like moving the can back and forth so you can hear the water in there, and so it kind of feels like you're in a different place, but
yeah.
it's really all that is created from me amplifying like the metal on the horn and then playing with that as another voice on top of overdubbing myself, playing with that as a separate voice. Um, and then using electronics with the saxophone, of course, has been done by many people. Eddie Harris was a big influence of mine through the years, and being a Chicago musician, hearing about his, you know, influence on the community and everything, living there has been a big part of my voice just as an acoustic player, but also he amplified the saxophone, and was one of the first people to do that. So that part of using electronics and affecting the saxophone in certain ways is something I'm doing on every song of the record. And that's something that I would hope people would be interested in hearing, especially with all the technology we have available
Mhm.
to us today.
So are you looking forward to doing live gigs with this, with all these added elements? Is that something that's happening as we get into the warm months now?
Yeah, I have about like 20 to 25 dates on the calendar, which is
Okay.
really great. I was trying to like hit all 50 states. I was trying to go to all the states, and I'm still hoping to do that over the course of this year and next year. And I have all the equipment with me, and I'll be using that in this tour. And there's a few different legs of the tour, so I like to go out and do some dates and then come back and then go back out and then come back. It gives me more of a sense of rootedness, so I can be here and hang out with my cat and
Yeah.
go for a walk in the park rather than just like being out for a month.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing it that way.
Okay. So all of this will be on your website, shows how people
Yeah.
can, okay. And then to get the album, obviously it's streaming, but for something that will benefit the musician, Bandcamp, is that the best place?
Yeah,
Okay.
Bandcamp. We
Okay.
have all the products there, doing CD and vinyl for this one.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful piece of artwork that one of the other fellows at UCross, where I recorded in Wyoming, she made this beautiful painting
Yeah.
of the land there. And so it really all kind of gives you an aspect of this life in this sort of remote part of Wyoming, which is like in the northeast quadrant of the state, which is not a lot of people live over there.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be able to see a part of America that a lot of other people don't necessarily have access to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, the cover is beautiful. The music's wonderful. I can't wait to get it on the show. It's great to catch up with you. I'll put all these links in the show notes. So good luck on the tour. Are you coming through Kansas City?
I'm hoping to in the future.
Okay.
Yeah. Not I
Okay.
don't have a date right now, but I'll yeah, I'm gonna be in Missouri though when with Allison Miller in May
Oh,
doing
wow.
the Jazz of St. Louis series for like 5 days. We'll be there. So I'm really
Wow.
excited. That's the closest that I'm gonna
Okay.
be at this point, but I'm hoping to make it. What's your favorite series out there that you would go to?
You know, you got the Blue Room, which is the perennial. There's a really hip place called the Green Lady Lounge, and they have an accompanying lounge called the Black Dolphin. But there's other clubs that have opened up. Those are perennials that are around here. So,
Yeah, I played at the Green Lady many years ago.
okay, very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
It was-
that's a great place. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Allison's wonderful. I saw her with Artemis, I believe, and
Yeah.
I was
Hmm.
just like, there's certain people you see on an instrument where you're like, you hear it in a recording, and it's the reason why you have to go see this live. She was crazy dynamic. The way that she was moving,
Yeah.
the sticks and everything was moving, and it was just like, it was amazing.
Yeah, she's a really special person in my life. I've known Allison since 2006.
Wow.
I was a part of the Sisters in Jazz experience back then when Jerry Allen was still alive. And so Jerry was one of our
Okay.
mentors. And then the other mentor that we had was Allison Miller. So we met then, 2006, 2007, and worked together. And she was just such an incredible figure from that moment on. And we kept in touch. And I was living in Chicago, and every time she would come through Chicago, she would text and be say, "Hey, I'm coming through, I'm playing with Ani DeFranco," or "Hey, I'm coming through, I'm playing with my band," or "Hey, I'm coming through, I'm playing with Brandy Carlisle." And so I would always go out to her shows when she was in town. And then when I moved to New York, I hit her up and, "Hey, I'm moving to New York, like, what's your advice?" Okay, you do these things. And then now Allison has this band called Boom Tick Boom.
Yeah.
And that band has the lineup has changed over the years. And so, sometimes it's got Jenny Scheinman's playing violin. And so she's got these different people playing. And this year last year in December, we recorded an album with a different lineup with myself, Jason Palmer on trumpet, Rashawn Carter on bass, and Shami Royston on the piano.
Yeah.
And this record's going to come out soon, and I'm just really the band is just amazing. We've been
Yeah.
cultivating a very special relationship between all of us, and I'm excited for her to release this record. But yeah, Artemis is I just got an email saying that they're playing at Carnegie Hall coming up soon
Very
here.
cool.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
amazing. Cool. Well, it sounds like everything's going really well. It's great to catch up with you. Good luck on this release, and hopefully we see you in Kansas City at some point here in the near future.
Yeah, I'd love to come at
Cool.
any time. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, great to see you. Thank you so much, and best of luck with it. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Talk
Thank
to you
you.
soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Neon Jazz.